All right, folks, we're back on prevention over prescription. And as many of you know, we've been doing a lot of the health coaching aspect of things. We talk about press method, ways to restore your health. And one of our previous guests, the most wonderful Kris Ouimet, is back. And I just wanted to give a quick anecdote or go through a story that I think might be not intuitive to a lot of people, but I think will benefit many. So, Kris, you and I were at the most lovely menopause event of the century, and and
It was
you had a
amazing.
question. You had a question for me. Do you recall that health
I
and
did.
wellness question that you threw down?
100%. Yeah, I do because it was like actually such a pivotal moment in my life. And I can't honestly thank you enough for it. I was at the menopause show and it was amazing. And I learned so much. And there were all these amazing health options and things I'd never heard of that I could do that could help me, and incredible women doing incredible things and men. And I came to you and I said, here's the thing, like, I exercise like crazy. I eat really well. I don't know what I should be doing first because I suffer from terrible GI issues. I have a bad gut. It's like one extreme to the other. I every day I'm like I don't know what I'm going to be dealing with, and it is kind of taking over my life. And I I was looking for guidance from you in terms of sort of what do I do next, because I've cut out dairy, I've cut out alcohol, I've cut out gluten, cut out sugar, everything, and nothing has worked for me. Cut out all supplement. Like at the time I was not taking anything because I was just like trying to put the bare minimum into my body in order to help my body restore, and nothing was working. That was the question I asked you, is what's my next step?
Excellent. And how was your energy? Did you find your energy at this time going through all that?
I mean, for me, low. I mean, I typically am a pretty high energy person, but over time, that starts to really have an impact on your energy levels. And I was just trying to get everything done. And over the last, I've always been someone who exercises, like I said, but, I've had really increased heavy lifting because of my age, perimenopausal, approaching 50, trying to do all the right things, increase my protein and heavy lifting, but I was exhausted. It was disrupting my sleep. It was mentally challenging, and I felt like I had nowhere else to go. I did not know what else to do.
Mm. And excuse me, just out of curiosity too, we didn't ask this question earlier, but what what's your why? Like what drives you to be as healthy as you can and wanting to be at your show up as your best form of yourself? What's your why?
I think I have all the whys. I think okay, so like I started exercising when I was like 17 and earlier. Like I mean before that sports and stuff like that, but like a gym membership, which was unusual back then. Right? And and I would say probably like most started from like an aesthetic perspective. But over time, I love the way that exercise makes me feel. Like I know that I'm not my best self if I don't hit the gym in some way, shape, or form, or go for a walk, or do Pilates, but if I find myself by noon and I haven't been active, I'm kind of cranky and I'm tired and I'm kind of fed up, And then I know that just a small, jog, like run on the treadmill, like it just puts me in a great mental place. Like it really is. I always say it's nature's antidepressant, right? Like it really puts me in such a great
It
place
actually
mentally.
is. Yeah.
And then the third why is now, I know enough and I've educated myself that where I am right now, I feel like I'm hoarding muscle because it's like the apocalypse is coming for my muscle mass when as I get older. And so I'm trying now to bank as much muscle mass as I can in order to be as strong as possible and live the healthiest I possibly can as I age. And so there's sort of a shift now, which is like, I never want to be a burden on my children. I want to be able to do the things I love doing when I'm 85 years old. I want to be able to travel. So now it's really about, I'm not about sort of this health span, I guess I should say, right? Like how healthy is the life that I have. And so it definitely has shifted, but I'd say honestly, I still kind of all three of those things still play some form of a role. And the little old, 1995, me will also say, you do want to look good in those jeans,
Hell yeah,
right?
why not?
Yeah.
You show up
So it
looking
still
good. You
happens.
like it shows up in the confidence. We all want to
Yeah,
represent. Let's
exactly.
go.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so and just for context too, folks, this is like Kris is fit. She knows a lot of the knows a lot of the things already. Like he knows the importance of nutrition, the importance of exercise, stress management, as you heard on the previous episode, and so a lot of the principles of prevention over prescription and the press method. But what did we discover? What was the change, Kris, that you figured that that made the that made a difference for you specifically?
It was the discussion with you. And then we had some voicemail exchanges after that. And it's crazy. So here's the thing. So I grew up, in the 80s and, calorie counting was king. Think Weight Watchers, all of that, right? And so I'll jump to the conclusion, which is I wasn't eating enough food to fuel these amped up workouts that I'm doing. So I'm trying to cut things out. And in the end, what was happening is, I had spent most of my life, you gain a few pounds. I have this lever I know I can always pull and I can just reduce my calories and I'll lose those few pounds. And that's going to be amazing. And that is a ingrained behavior in myself that feels virtually impossible to change. It has worked for me my whole life until it didn't. And the change is that my workouts changed and they required so much more fuel and I wasn't fueling them. And as a result, in your words, you're like, you're swimming in cortisol. You're so inflamed. You're swimming in cortisol. Like I had put my body into such a state of fight or flight. It didn't know which way to go. And I just didn't have the fuel that I needed. And so I was really harming. I wasn't being, not only was I not being kind to my body, I was really harming my body. I mean, this is really embarrassing to talk about in a way too, because like I'm a grown ass woman and I'm smart. And the fact that I'm still reverting back to calorie reduction when I know better, it's embarrassing.
But
Right?
you know how many people, like you say it's embarrassing, but the reason you're on right now is because there are thousands of people that have the exact same mindset. I can't count how many people have told me this exact same scenario. This is why I wanted you in the mix, because this is something that too many people have learned the hard way. I am counting my calories. I'm eating less, working out more, and
Mm-hmm.
nothing is changing. And
Mm-hmm.
as you said, you are swimming in a stressful state, a high cortisol state. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you're in a high cortisol state? You are going to retain your weight. You're going to retain fluid. What's your sleep going to be like?
Terrible. And then it was rooting itself. So I'm that person who like listen, I have like the worst motion sickness. If I take a medicine that says it might upset your stomach, it will. Like I have like just a very weak digestive system. And so the one thing that goes on me, it turns out under a high stress situation is my gut. So the symptoms of the stress on my body were manifesting through my gut, right? I believe, like, it wasn't migraines and
Your
it
gut
wasn't,
mind connection
I
is very well established at this point. Like there's
100%. And
yeah.
yeah, totally. Combine that with hormone changes, all of that. That is exactly what I was dealing with. And I tried everything else, and there's a reason none of it worked. I was cutting things out, and I should have been adding things in, and I did.
So what changed and what happened after the change?
We talked about it. I committed to eating significantly more, increasing my calorie goal by, I don't know if, I mean, this is hard to share, but I was probably eating 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day, maybe sometimes less than that. Um, and then like spending an hour lifting heavy weights and 40 minutes on the treadmill. And so I increased that calorie goal to 1,900, which I actually have a really hard time getting to. I can't believe how much food that actually is, especially when you're eating totally clean, right? So I'm focusing on the protein intake. I'm not worrying about calories. So I'm like, good, healthy breakfast, eggs and egg whites and avocados and grains and like those things. Some of those things would have scared me before because I'm like, those are calories, but not, it's adding calories, but it's not something like yummy, and it's not something I really, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about honestly, I don't like eating grains. So why would I consume them? But I'm focusing on that. And as a result, I have tons of energy, like tons. I don't know if you can, it's like bouncing off of me right now. And my workouts are so much more fun. And I feel like I'm getting so much more out of them. Um, and my gut is amazing. Like I can't remember the last time that I felt this healthy, and it's reliable. I feel like I can rely and count on my body again. And it's been like 3 or 4 months, and I've not looked back. I'm not gonna lie, there are times where the scale might change a bit, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel great. But I also focus on how much more muscle I'm gaining, and what's important, and what are, like you said, what are your goals? Why am I doing this now? And it really is about my long-term health and wellness. And so I've stuck with it. But what we talked about was like, that's a behavior that I've had to fight really hard to change, right? It just the knowledge is not enough to change a behavior, right? That has to come from somewhere else, right? And and for me, it's finally clicked, and I've let go of that calorie counting mentality, and I shoot to eat 120 grams of protein every day. I can't say I get there every day; it's hard, but I take my creatine thanks to you,
That's cool.
and I'm like just living my best life. And I honestly, like, it was that day at the menopause show that was like a total 180 for me. Changed everything. So thank you. Can't thank you enough.
No, I
Really.
mean this is why we do these things. We want people to be the best form of themselves, and you weren't on track of seeing me in an ICU, but that's the I mean one of the main goals, and I just want to thank you for sharing your story because as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be able to relate to this, and it makes me really happy to think that this is this this has had a positive impact. And one of the things, you're right in terms of mindset. It's tough to change some of these habits, and that's why when we work with clients, like this was all informal, obviously with Kris, but the anchoring to the why is a big one for that reason, because you're going to have moments where you're going to be weak, you're tired, you're gassed, you just want to go back to your old ways, but
Yeah.
really tying to that why can help you overcome those moments. And so yeah, once again, just really thankful for you to share this very personal but very impactful uh, experience. And once again, folks, just at a high level, that you get so much of these health advice, but always thinking about what's the one or two components that are going to move the needle. And it doesn't have to be something crazy all the time. It could be your sleep. It could be the timing of your when you eat. Like whatever it is, it could be very simple. But I think in this example, Kris, as you walk through, we didn't have to go through 900 different things. It was just, you know, focus
Well,
on
I feel
how
like I
much we could.
had already gone through 900 different things, you know, and I, it was, at the end of the day, it was here. And that's sort of, to me, is it's the barrier that we, sometimes our biggest barrier is ourselves, right? So, you know, just because someone doesn't want to, it isn't, you know, it's a new year and they're like, oh, I don't, I need to get to the gym and I need to get in shape, but there are things standing in their way, and everyone is different, and everyone has their own history and their own mental and physical barriers as to why maybe it's very hard for them to get to the gym. Maybe they don't feel comfortable in their gym clothes, and maybe, you know, so we all have, not all, but many of us have a sort of a psychological component that's holding us back. And in my case, you know, it was sort of my my mindset around sort of, as we talked about calories, but like I think for everybody, you know, just because you're not at the gym doesn't mean that you're lazy, doesn't mean that you're weak. What's standing in your way? And being honest with yourself about that, right?
Well said, Kris. Well said. Listen, thank you once again for joining us on Prevention Over Prescription. You're now two-time guests on the illustrious show. But you're a beautiful soul. You're an amazing human being, and it's a real privilege to get to know you more and more.
Thank you, too. What a fun day.
What a great day!